Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Marnese Live Talk Show. I am your host, Marnese Jackson, and tonight we will be talking about the essence of motherhood. And so, the Marnese Live Talk Show is a show where we can talk about social issues and life issues in hopes to find action steps to move our community and our society forward. Now, I know last Sunday was Mother's Day, but Mother's Day is every day. And so, tonight we have seven guests who will talk about the good, the bad, the ugly about motherhood. And so tonight we will talk with Deborah, Carmisha, Melinda, Maria, Maisha, Sakara, Mama D about motherhood. So let me welcome them all to the Marnese Live Talk Show. As we wait for Zoom, I wanted to say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, the grandmothers, the auntie mothers, the stepmothers, all moms who played the role of being a mother. And as everyone come on camera, I would like to also thank my mother, as you will see in the promotional flyer. That is my mother, Lois Lee Youngblood Jackson, who raised me to be a strong-willed, and yes, I do have a smart mouth, and it all comes from her. You got to blame it on somebody. So I want to say thank you, Mama. I love you so much. And I like to welcome everyone to the Marnese Light Talk Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As everyone gets situated, I'd like for you all to tell me about how many kids you have. What is your day-to-day life like? What do you do? What type of mother are you? And so, Carmisha, you look like you're ready to go. You want to go ahead and jump in there?
Hi, yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Carmisha Carvalho, and uh, so I have two kids. I have a 5-year-old named Maurice. He's a little boy named Maurice, and I have a daughter. She just turned 2 on Saturday, and her name is Amia. Um, and as far as what type of mother I am, I would say I'm very hands-on. I love to be involved as much as possible. I don't believe in only relying on, like, for example, school or daycare to be the ones that are instilling education or knowledge into my children. So I like to be as hands-on as possible. I'm also in the military. I'm active duty. I've been in the Navy for almost 8 years now. So sometimes that being hands-on is not possible because I'm not physically there. For the past year, I have been away from my children. Um, but they've been able to see me here and there every couple weeks. But there have been months where I did not get the chance to see them or even speak to them. So it's difficult, but done pretty well so far.
Thank you so much, Carmisha, and thank you so much for all the service that you give to our country. And I'm so happy that you're here on the show and continue to be strong as you're away from your children. So, Melinda, tell us
Yes.
about how many children, what type of mommy are you?
I am a mother of one.
Mhm.
And she's not a little one. She's 21. She just turned 21 about 2 weeks ago. So just being a mother now is more like is more so like freedom and like being a back off. I'm like more like back off, like just observing to see what I've instilled in her and see how that, is coming about in her life and having her grow. But when she was little, I was like one of those busy moms that would pop in to your school and like, Mom, what are you doing here? That was me.
Thank you so much, Melinda. And Maria. Hey, Maria. Oh, you got to unmute yourself, huh?
Okay, sorry. Okay. So I have two teenagers, 13-year-old Savannah and 14-year-old Justin. Um, I'm kind of hands-on, but I think when they were younger, I was very hands-on. But as they become teenagers, I try to let go a little bit. However, I find myself being an FBI agent trying to find out and investigate my kids because they tend to hide things. So I think it's a cross between being hands-on and then trying to add in a little bit more strictness. I did a lot when they were younger, but now I see I have to actually start punishments again because of the things I've been finding out about my kids.
Right. Thank you so much, Maria. And we're going to get more into discipline and things of that nature a little bit later in the show. Sakara. Hey, mama.
Hi.
Tell me more about how many kids you have and what type of mommy are you?
I have 3 children, 8, will soon to be 6 in a month, and 8 months in a week.
Oh, you have a lot of little ones, huh?
Yeah. I'll say that I'm a active, hands-on mother, protector. I'm involved in every single aspect of their lives. Of course, they're 8 and younger, so that's obvious right now. But yeah, what was the other question you asked?
No, that was it. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about being hands-on and working with little ones. So Deb, hey.
Hi.
Are you ready to go? You situated over there?
I think so. You can see me, right?
Thanks so much for being here. So the initial question is like, how many kids you have and what type of mom are you?
I have 2 girls, almost 12 and almost 14. Both have birthdays this summer. And I'd say I'm like the intuitive mom. My whole mom gig is knowing who they are as individuals and really building relationships with each one of them. Trying to nurture who they are as people in the world. And yeah, that's kind of how I do it.
All right, before we go to Maisha, Mama D.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? So D is
I am
my
awesome.
elder, so
How are
I,
you?
huh?
I said, I'm awesome. How are you?
Pretty good. So Mama D is my elder, and she so happens to be the mother of Sakara. So tell me, how many kids you have and what type of mommy are you?
I'm not a mommy anymore. I'm a mother now. They're all, I have 4 children. They range from the age, Sakara's my oldest, she's 34. I have a 33-year-old, a 23-year-old, and an 18. And
Okay.
the kind of mother that I tended to have been was overprotective. I just wanted to ensure that they would be okay no matter what. So I always checked up, like I heard a lady say earlier, she's checking behind her kids. And I did that too. I would go through Sakara's and drawers and stuff. And one day I went in her room and I read her diary. And she was talking about how she wasn't going to
Seriously?
give herself up. I'm sorry, how she wasn't going to give herself up, how she see her friends doing different things, but she wasn't going to be a part of it. And that day, I never looked at her diary again because I was like, okay, she got it. She got it. I wouldn't let Sakara polish her fingernails, her toenails, wear makeup, anything like that till she was 16. Because
See where she gets it from.
yes,
Okay.
because you have a lifetime to be an adult and wear that stuff. You don't need to have that stuff on as a little kid because these little people out here, these perverts, are attracted to that. So I wasn't gonna put my kids in ammunition's way. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you
And
so
then as
much.
far as my boys, you know, they're all good. They got some pretty good kids. I'm proud of every last one of them. None of them have been arrested. None of them have been in any kind of trouble. They're just good kids. I'm blessed for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dee. So I have a question for all you all. What has been the best experience with being a mother? No best experiences?
Well, watching them grow into the adults that they have become is the best experience I could have experienced.
All right.
I would actually say when they were younger, like me teaching them and then seeing them learn. So, when they were first learning to read and then I kept on reading with them every night and them grasping those concepts.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
I would say being a part of their lives in general. Obviously, as a parent, you're a part of their lives, but just to see them grow up and become the little people that they are, and eventually thoughts they'll be. Got one coming down the stairs now, but just to see them grow up and be a part of their lives and how they flourish and develop.
Hey, Maisha, I know you had some connection issues. You want to tell us what type of mommy you are, how many kids do you have, and what has been the best experience of being a mother?
I have biologically 2, care for 6 total. I'm the strict, more educate. Education is more important parent, and the best thing about being a parent is being able to show children that there are so many things outside of your block, outside of 8 Mile, outside of Detroit, outside of Michigan. There are so many things to explore, whether in a book or a museum. And just seeing my kids accomplish things and seeing my nieces and nephews know that they've come from a broken home, but that doesn't mean they have to stay there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Deb, did you want to expand on like what has been the best experience? You're unmuted.
Muted.
Yep.
Am I there now? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I just think agreeing with the idea of watching them grow up, and when they do something in their lives that you have put into them as a principle or a value, and you see them like be kind to somebody or just be selfless or do something loving, it's just the best feeling as a parent. It's like, okay, something's working, something's clicking. But aside from that, I think about all of it's the little things each day, like the hugs, the I love you mamas. Those things are just, it's hard to measure any one thing compared to all of those little things.
What about you, Carmisha?
I everything that everyone said. Although my kids are still small, so I haven't seen how they will as grown-ups yet. But as children, I do enjoy seeing them have that aha moment when they grasp a concept or something. And I also really enjoy those hugs and kisses. But the first thing that came to my mind, aside from that aha moment, is I was just talking to my siblings about this. Like I'm blessed to say that I had a really great childhood. I I can't think of anything that I would want to go back and change about my childhood. And being able to do certain things with my children, I'm so happy that we're able to create beautiful childhood memories for them as well. So far, I can tell that they are enjoying their childhood, and they can look back at least on these early years and say that they've had a good childhood so far.
All right, Melinda, anybody else want to say what has been the best? Because we about to get into what has been some obstacles.
So mine is just has her being a young adult, just seeing her have principles, morals, self-worth, and being a leader, like amongst her friends versus being a follower, and taking a stand for something that she really believes in. That's like the best thing that I can just imagine right now.
One of mine has been my kids recognizing that social justice is something that is real, and understanding protest and white supremacy and oppression and all of those different things that come with being African born in America.
Okay. All right, so I see we have a lot of different perspectives. Are there any obstacles, you guys? I mean, I know we have a range of mothers, little kids all the way up to like young adult. Like, what have you seen has been some obstacles with raising children within yourself, or just being a part of this whole motherhood thing we're all a part of?
Outside influences. I remember when Alyssa was like in like middle school, going to high school, and those friends, she'd be like, "Oh, well, my friends can do this." When I used to tell her no, and like, "They mom don't care." I'm like, "Well, I'm not that mom. Like, I'm not gonna let you do anything that I'm going to jeopardize you." So it's just like that outside influence at that certain age was like the hardest time for us.
What age was that? You said
Like 13 to like maybe like 15.
Mhm.
12, like 12, 15-ish. Yeah.
Was that the same for you, Deb? You got preteens, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, it is that whole idea of we're our own family, and so that doesn't mean everything we do doesn't look like, other families, and sometimes that's hard, and sometimes, the kids get it because they don't quite understand the behaviors they're seeing either, but just trying to create this idea that our family rules are not how everyone functions. I think that is an obstacle. And because my girls are middle schoolers right now, I do think like this is a really hard time in kids' lives, especially girls. I think that, it's a hard time for self-esteem and body image and all of those things. Those are things I worry about at this age for the girls going into I have one who will be going into high school next year. And I think, I think they have pretty good self images right now, but, I'm also a high school teacher. I see what things that happen. So it's, that's something I worry about is like when kids can be mean to each other and how that really can get in a girl's head in particular and damage self-esteem.
Okay. What about you, Maria, Sakara, Carmisha?
I would actually have to agree with the outside influences. With Savannah, I found a provocative rap song that she supposedly is writing, but she said it was one of her friends, or with her trying to find herself, and she's in 8th grade now, going on to high school. So those have been the biggest obstacles um, with Savannah. But with Justin, totally different. Like he had a lot of potential within him, and for him to actually realize his potential and who he was, going from 8th to 9th grade was a little bit harder. So I would say around that middle school going to high school age is like really, really hard.
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't just not me. Like, man, that was hard.
Mine was finding time for each kid. All six had different personalities, and some of the kids had special needs, and trying to get through therapy and get through homework and meals, and one don't like this and they don't like that, and it took like 5 years before the little ones were even adjusted to being out of their toxic environment. And also the outside influences of making sure they went to certain schools that were in certain neighborhoods, and the kids that they interacted with in neighborhoods. It was just like I had to keep a bubble for them in every little environment that they went to, and to make sure that they associate with the right people that are going to progress them. So that was a struggle, and especially dealing with Nevaeh with the bipolar and ADHD, it was, ooh,
Okay.
he disrupted the house daily.
All right. All right. To Sakara and Carmisha, looking small, the babies.
Yeah, for me, I started off motherhood as a single mom, and I met my husband when my son was about almost he was almost 2 years he was almost 2 years old, and my husband's really great. So one of the things, like I said, they're very young, so I haven't dealt with too much. Some stuff I kind of expected, but when it came to my son, just being a single mom, I guess, and making sure that he was I was concerned, but I had a really strong support system. So that ended up not being a huge concern because I had like my dad and my mom, and my dad filled that man role in his life, that father figure. But then when my husband came in the picture, now we have a biological child together. He is daddy to my son. But I wanted to make sure that there was no difference in my mind. I was concerned that there would be a difference, like when it comes to like the in-laws and stuff. Would they treat one child differently from the other? That was like an internal concern in my heart, in my mind, but it ended up being so. Like I said, I'm military, and they've been taking care of both of my kids while I've been away this past year. So it was more so just me being worried, making sure that more my son didn't feel different from his sister. But I'm thankful to say that I don't see that at all. It hasn't, but it was, concerning.
All right. And D and Sakara, like for D, what has been some obstacles with being a mother? And Sakara, you can weigh in too as well.
I would
The only
say what everyone else
obstacle,
is outside. Oh, were you gonna say something? Go ahead. I can't hear you, Mom. Outside influences, definitely peer pressure, all of that. Even as my daughter's 8, she's always comparing what other kids can do and what she can do and all that. And I would definitely say, since we're a Christian household, worldly influences, and even with the schools teaching them that we may not agree with, and teaching them all of that.
D, did you want to say something?
yeah, actually, I thought you had asked me and Sakura. I didn't know. But I was initially when the first lady said influences, that was my answer too. My thing has always been to, go the distance for my kids. I never upheld them in the wrong. I always encouraged them to tell me the truth, because if you tell me the truth, I can back you up. If you lie to me, you done lost the backup.
Yeah.
And my most important thing was, and the biggest fear I had was other people coming into their lives and leading them away from what I've taught them, or you know what I mean? So I would always be still overprotective in their adulthood. Like, you got to come through this brick wall, because you're not getting ready to take away from them what I didn't instill and taught them. And it was just really important to me that all my kids, even my grandchildren, have strong leadership abilities. Because I don't do followers at all. So that's it.
Right. And Sakara and Maisha, you both said something like outside influences with your values. For example, you said the Christian values, and Maisha, you're strongly rooted in social justice and making sure they have African and Black teachings. What has been some obstacles? Like, I know can you expand more on the values? Like, because for example, I'm very centered in making sure my kids know where they come from. So, for example, I don't really let them pledge their allegiance when they're in school. If they do it, fine, but I just really don't condone that. So, have there been conflicts where a teacher or an outside influence may pressure your kid to do something, and how did you handle that situation?
Yeah, I
Well,
had that issue. Go ahead, Sakara.
Excuse
I
me.
was gonna say, most recently, my son, he's 5, and we're doing homework on the computer, schoolwork on the computer, and they were talking about family units, and they were saying how two families have two moms, or some families have two moms, some families have two dads. And I looked, and just to see if he was going to question it, or be confused by it. I don't know if he was totally paying attention, but I realized that he may be exposed to things from the world that we haven't discussed with him yet. And so now that's a talk that we need to talk about, even if he was paying attention or not. But that's an example of it.
Well, I had an issue with we were talking about racism and a flag, and when Kaepernick, stood kneeled, and we had a discussion all about that. And then they went to school, and there was one of the teachers who told them they were discussing racism and the flag. And my nephew was like, well, the flag represents racism. And he had a black male who told him, well, that's not true. So my nephew was very outspoken. He like, well, my TT said that this represents racism. This song is about killing us as people. And those colors on that flag represent the Confederate flag, and America represents enslavement and the dehumanity of people. And he went on, and then his teacher was just telling him he was wrong, and his TT was wrong. So he got so upset that he actually went to the office and called me up to the school. So I had to go up there and tell this guy, just because you're ignorant and you don't know about your history, don't try to tell my kids that they're wrong. If you have some kind of significant evidence that you can say, or that you can give them to back up what you're saying, then by all means provide it, and I'll decide whether or not they look at it. But when they're being taught here things that are detrimental to them, then there's a concern. But it wasn't detrimental to them. It was giving them history and arming them to go out in these streets and deal with all of the racism, all of the hate against black males, and all of those things. So I let him know that not in this household. we keep it real, and they know about racism. They know about June 10th. We don't celebrate July 4th. So he looked kind of dumb and walked away, but I'm pretty sure when he got home, he found a book to understand what was going on, because I did offer to give him some books as well.
All right, thank you so much, Sakara and Maisha. So I have a question for everybody. Since we're talking about obstacles and kids doing things that may not be in line with what we want them to do,
It's in a pack like that though, but
what
smaller.
what is your form of discipline? You guys believe in spankings, whoopings, go sit in the corner, time out, punishment? Like, what works for you
All
all?
of the above. All of the above.
Oh,
All of the
No,
above.
no.
You know what?
Never,
I actually have
I
a
got
problem. I have a problem. My mom pulled a switch out the other day and was like, I said, "You're not hitting my kids with that." They don't even know what a switch is. But I do spank them sometimes. I really not a lot. They real spoiled. I probably should more often. I do more of timeouts or go to your room or I'm taking a game away, those type of things. Because my kids are real sensitive. Just pop them on the hand, it's like the end of the world. So I guess you just got to know what discipline is best for your child.
Carmisha, Deb, you have any thoughts on that?
I have done all of the above. I honestly think that spanking is the least effective, and I don't enjoy. Not that I should, but I don't enjoy it. I really feel like it. I personally feel like it doesn't work because I can think back to when I was spanked. I was spanked up inside. I was spanked for a long time, and it didn't work. What worked was when my parents told me they were disappointed in me, but I was because I don't know if I just at an early age I was like, this is only gonna hurt for a little bit and I'll be okay after that. So I have spanked. I just don't think that it's more effective. But what I have realized that works with my kid, especially for my 5-year-old, he doesn't like the things that he enjoys being taken away from him.
Mm-hmm.
So that is that and yeah, really just taking away his privileges, making him sure he understands that those things are privileges. But I've done all of it, but yeah, spanking doesn't work. That's the only one that doesn't work for me.
All right. Deb?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say everything Carmisha just said, I feel like pretty much the same. I early on realized like swatting a bottom. My oldest, I swatted her bottom, and then I looked at my husband and said, what she looked, my daughter looked at me like, why did you do that? She was like 2, and so I just think trying to have that conversation, guilt, the disappointment piece. I mean, that sounds horrible, right? Like guilt, but when they were little, trying to get them to understand that when you do things that hurt others, there are consequences, and trying to talk through actions. I was thinking about this question, coming into this conversation, because I've never been consistent with one thing, like timeouts or I don't know, like I've never grounded the girls. Taking things away works, I guess, with my younger one in particular, like the TV, limiting time or saying, she can't be on playing a game or something like that. But I really don't know. I wouldn't say I have a specific strategy. If any one place where I feel like it's the weakest part of my parenting, this would probably be it. But my goal has been to foster the relationship so the girls know why and what the ramifications of their actions and how they hurt other people, and try to understand from that angle why they shouldn't do whatever it is they did.
So Melinda and Maisha, since you have young adults, what did you find was the best approach that worked?
Electricity strikes.
Huh?
Electricity strikes.
You say electricity?
Everything. Yes, I pay for the electricity. So if you don't follow my rules, I take everything that's electrical. I go downstairs and I turn off the electricity in your room.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Because I did spanking. I use spanking, and to a point it works, but then I got to the point where like there was 8 or 9, and they understood what their behavior meant and how their behavior affected them and the consequences. So I stopped that at certain points because we can have that discussion well, you did this and this is how it makes me feel, and how do you think it looks when you go out and do certain things. So with the little ones, it was kind of different with Maya and Lydell. They weren't bad kids. They were always at some kind of event playing basketball, dance, or something. They didn't really have time. Once we got home, it was dinner, homework, and we spent time together. But with the little ones, it was kind of different. So once they got to the point where I could explain their behavior, or they can explain what they did, then it was good. It was better. But with Nevaeh, nothing worked for her for the discipline. Nothing. She does what she wants, when she wants. She don't care. So me and Nevaeh just, I played the fifth. I work for the state.
And with me, like with Alyssa, like growing up, like it was different stages for different things. Like one time it could be a whooping, one time it could be a talk. Sometimes it could be me taking away some be, oh, you can't go here, or you're grounded. So it depends on each stage in her life. She needed a different type of discipline. So just being able to adjust to see what would most affect her, to give me the action that I needed action from her.
All right, before we go into the next question, I would like to give a shout out to my viewers in the chat. I would like to say hi, Stephanie. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Troy. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Amanda. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Marnese Live Talk Show. Please do not forget to follow me at the Marnese Live Talk Show on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at the Marnese Live Talk Show. So I have a question for all of you. We're all our mothers. We gave birth. Did any of you experience the baby blues or postpartum depression? Could you talk a little bit about that if you had that experience, or if you have seen someone with that type of experience? What did you do? How did you work through it? Are you still going through it? And if you're going through it and haven't told anybody, or if you know somebody who hasn't told anybody, why don't they tell people that they're going through some type of depression because of having kids?
I went through it. I went through it with Lydell, not with Maya, and I didn't tell anybody because it was the first time being a mother. I was 20 years old, and people had already wrote me off as not going to do this and not going to do that, and it was like adding one more thing to the disappointment. Even though I was still working in school, I was working 3 part-time jobs, going to school full-time, and a mom. It was just like, deal with it. Nothing's wrong with you. That's just a part of life. And it wasn't. I was struggling and I was crying every day, and I didn't know what to do with my son, but I just knew that I wasn't going to leave him. And none of my family members ever questioned, well, is it postpartum, or is it this, or is it that? Everybody was just like, that's just normal. Just do you. That's your kid. Now you got to take care of it.
Carmisha, did you have something to say or add, or?
No, I did not experience it personally. I remember though that when I had my son, I was in California. I was by myself. My family was. I was stationed out in California. My family was all on the East Coast between Michigan and Maryland. And but I do remember there were a couple other women that were pregnant around the same time as me, and they went through it. And at the time I was really ignorant to postpartum depression, and I didn't understand why they were so sad when they were all in relationships, like healthy from the outside. Look, and to this day, they seem like they're still in really healthy relationships with those partners. But I didn't understand why they were going through this depression or baby blues, and they had a partner. I didn't understand at the time.
They had the extra help.
And I was by myself.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is because of the ignorance about it, judgment, and that's probably why people don't speak about it.
Dee, did you want to say something?
Me?
You passed the question that I wanted to respond to, so I'm not going to interrupt.
Don't worry, I'm getting there. Don't worry, I'm getting there. Anybody else wanted to say anything about postpartum depression?
I didn't experience it.
That's good. Well, I just say if you see anybody experiencing it, just be an ear and don't be so judgmental. Just ask questions and provide resources if you know of any resources. Okay, so for those who have 2 or more kids, did you find yourself slacking off with the second and third kid?
Yes, Maya got away with murder. But she also didn't have her dad in the picture. So he would make a lot of promises, and I had to be mom and dad for her. Whereas like Dale had his dad in the picture and was still involved. With Maya, it was just me and my grandma, doing everything for her. So I think she kind of got more attention. And then being a Capricorn, and I'm a Capricorn, our birthdays like 6 days apart. We were more like the same person, just in different bodies.
All right. Maria, you have 2 kids, Maria? What did you slack on the second one?
No, Savannah does not allow that. I had to be on her all the time, whooping, punishment, everything. Calisthenics, she would have not allowed that. So no, I couldn't. No, her attitude.
Yeah, you have like 5 kids. So did you find yourself slacking? I know Sakara's the oldest. So did you feel like she was older, she can do everything? Because I felt like I was a mama to Ashley, my youngest sister, and she's the third kid. So yeah, I'm calling my mama out.
Well,
Definitely slacked off. Me and my brother
I don't have
always
5 kids either.
four.
You say what?
She
I
got
don't
4.
have 5 kids.
You have actually about 9 or 10 extra kids because you got a lot of grandkids.
We used to always say that my younger brothers, they got away with everything, whereas we were held accountable for everything.
Okay.
But I don't think I slacked off. I think I'm pretty well. They're kind of close in age, so I can't really say. I think when the kids are spaced apart, then you can really see a difference. But my kids are a little kind of close in age, so they get the same treatment.
So Sakara, congratulations on your 7th month of having little Sky in the world. I see you started a new business. You opened up a photography spot in downtown Pontiac. Yes, I'm doing a business plug for you. How do you manage work-life balance with 3 kids?
Grace of God, literally. It's rough. I take it day by day. I am able to make my own schedule. So I do the restaurant and make my own schedule of photography and everything, and do a lot of work from home as far as graphic design. But it's a lot. It is. I always say that at the beginning, I don't think my career is where it should be now. And I always say that I chose family life over career. I feel like as women, we have to see if we want to go full force into a career mode or go down the family road. Sometimes I feel like it's hard to have it all, so to speak. Like if you see a CEO woman, she's probably not married, no kids. That's not to say all of them, but most likely. So it's like I feel like I chose the family route, and I just try. If I have a good support system, my mom helps me a lot, my in-laws, and I definitely need them. I would probably wouldn't be able to do it without support, and of course their father.
So wait a minute.
What?
So do you feel like one is lacking, either say if someone is a CEO, because you are a CEO of your photography business, do you feel like
I'm talking about like a huge company like Microsoft type CEO.
okay.
I just feel like those women, they're single and not married. Not all, but a lot of them, because they chose a career route. And then if you choose a family route, I wanted to stay at home with my kids when they were first born. I didn't want to do daycare and stuff. So, that took a lot of chunk out of, being career driven.
So you don't think you can balance both, like being a CEO
it's
and being
possible, but it's hard. But I feel like one is going to dominate. Okay. Let me just put it that way. Yeah.
So Deb, you have 2 girls, one going to high school, one in junior high. I can imagine they're experiencing puberty, unless they're experiencing it late. You never know what's in the food nowadays. But what has been your experience with this hormonal shift? Like, how have you been like handling it with two girls? I'm going to high school.
Yeah.
Teach high school.
Yeah. Well, we are actually a little late in our house because my oldest is she has 2 autoimmune diseases. So she's a type 1 diabetic and hypothyroidism. So she's been a little bit delayed with her development with puberty, but we've kind of tried to take the route of joking around for the most part. You know, like the other day, she was crabby for a couple days, and just trying to joke around, like, calling her Captain Krabby Pants, like, what's going on? Like trying to lighten the mood and figure out what's going on with her. The biggest thing I've noticed is between the 2 girls in the last, I don't know, year or so, the fights in the bathroom in the morning or things like that, trying to navigate how to treat each other, have patience with each other and things like that. But I don't know, hormone wise, I haven't dealt with like outbursts or anything like crazy, yelling or anything yet. I don't know if that's down the road or not, but so far I feel like, maybe it's the calm before the storm. I don't know.
It is the calm before the storm.
It gotta be, because
High school and the hormones and those run into those mean girls and the girls
Yeah.
that want to be popular, and your child just wants to be themselves. It gets
Yeah.
difficult. My year went through, I say, a whole 18 months of just being mean for no reason. She wasn't happy about nothing. Not with me making her macaroni, her favorite meals, giving her attention, taking her out. Nothing made her happy. She was just so angry. She wouldn't fill out scholarship paperwork, colleges, nothing. She just was angry as hell for nothing. And it was so long. And I'm like, we are missing out on so much in high school. And it was hard for me because I want to give my daughter this attention. She's in high school and I have these little ones and I'm trying to delegate attention for everybody, but I definitely need to make sure I give attention to her because I don't want this old creep that coming back to the high school that's not supposed to, telling my daughter she beautiful and all these other extra things. So I'm trying to have my radar on her, but whoo, she got to that point, 11th grade, like the end of 10th, 11th grade, she was just, she
ain't like the macaroni. So yeah, Dee, I wanted to come back to you. I want to make sure I get to your question. So if you want to go ahead and comment, but I really wanted to ask you, how do you feel seeing your children have children, and what has been the best thing about being a grandmother and seeing your grandkids?
See, everything that I talk about is gonna be like I'm bragging on it.
Go ahead, brag on your grandkids.
Awesome.
Brag.
I have not only my grandkids, my children. Both of my children that have children are married. You know what I mean? And they have families. My 2 sons that don't have children, I don't know. The virginity is up in the air right now. I'm believing they both still. I know one said he's not till he gets married, but that last one, I don't know. He'd be playing with it too much. But anyway, they all have the desire not to have families until they're married. Okay. So that's a good thing because they came from a mother who was a single parent. Mm-hmm. And not only was I a single parent, I didn't allow outside influences in my home. Meaning, when my kids were kids, there never was a man that lived with us. It wasn't a boyfriend over at 12 o'clock at night where they had to knock on my door. No, we didn't do that. We didn't bring men over my kids. I didn't do that because my troubled childhood led me to be even more protective over them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, then I said I felt kind of bad because I was like, I gotta brag on Sakara, and she's on here, and I'm not trying to flatter her or anything, but Sakara was one of the most awesome kids. And if you guys knew my history and my background, you'd be like, where'd she get her from? She was the opposite of me. So the things that I didn't have done to me or for me when I was a kid, I made sure she had the opposite. I always told her how beautiful she was. I always encouraged her, lifted her up, built her up. She told me one time, I wish you hadn't built my self-esteem up so high. I said, why? She says, everybody talking about, I think I'm better than everybody. I said, honey, let them keep on talking. You keep that esteem up there, because that's what they want to do, is bring you down and tear you apart and not let you ever see who you are. So that's why I said you got to come through this big wall. You're not taking that from them. And Sakara, I'm not, she's with the only man she's ever been with in her life. That girl was a virginity probably longer than any other girl in Pontiac I ever known. You know,
Look
she's
at
a
Marnese's
great
face.
mom.
Throwing shade.
You know, I'm sorry, but it is. I don't have those problems. I didn't whip my kids. Sakara probably can name on one hand how many times I hit her. I used to give them cod liver oil. That was their punishment. You get a tablespoon.
Okay. What did you call it?
A what?
Cod liver
A
oil.
tablespoon of cod liver oil, and it was good for them, but it was nasty as I don't know. That's
I'd
crazy.
rather get a whooping.
They didn't do nothing. They knew they had to take that, and depending on what they did, depended on how big the spoonful was gonna be.
That's a good idea.
Or a soup spoon. So, and then the air went off a little bit. I got scared. I was real scared about for him for a long time. And then all of a sudden, I kept trying. I moved to California. I kept trying to talk him into coming, and he wouldn't come. And I was just so like, oh my Lord, Jesus, bring the son to me, because I felt like I always felt like I could lead them so much better. I probably overwhelm him with that, but it's because I know, you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, he came to California, and that man is a man. I'm like, look at him. So yeah, he's there for his girls. He has 3 daughters. He's there for them. I mean, I love what God has allowed to use me to do as far as bringing my family and offspring here.
How do you
Thank
feel
you so
about having
much. Brag. All right. So Maria, how has it been adjusting to becoming a newly single mother, because you're divorced now? So how are you and your teenagers adjusting to that?
So yeah, I've been divorced since 2013 now, but it was hard, especially at the beginning, because I came from a predominantly, like, my parents were always together, and they didn't really officially split until I went to college. And all of the people I grew up around with, my grandparents, aunties, everybody was, a 2-parent household. So for me to leave my ex-husband and raise 2 kids on my own was very, very hard. And I realized that balance that's needed between them. And I didn't really see it and feel it until, I will say, this year with my daughter, because I was always a daddy's girl, and how my daddy really made a big impression on me. And luckily, my ex-husband stepped up this year and helped me out with a couple situations with my daughter. But it's very trying. I was just in prayer because I didn't know what I was going to do with her or my son at some point.
Thank you so much, Maria. And Melinda, so what has been some highlights seeing your daughter become a young adult? What are your secrets? Because some of us are, almost there raising a teenager. So what are some of your secrets that you can give us?
Communication. Just being open and honest and not afraid to have those hard conversations. Even if it's about sex, even if it's about finances, it doesn't, heartbreak, it doesn't even matter. Like, you have to be able to have that open line of communication to be able to and listen to whatever they have to say. Like, I think that's the biggest thing.
And so, Carmisha, I wanted to come back to you, talking about adjustment, being away from your children. How has it been for you and your children being in the military?
So I've been in the military since before I became a mother, and when I'm in the Navy. So in the Navy, if you don't know much about the military, in the Navy we go on ships and we go away for long periods of time. I've been very thankful though that which is pretty unique compared to other branches where they go away but they come back, then they're on land until they go away again. Whereas with the Navy, you can go out for 2 weeks, come back in, go away for 3 months, et cetera, et cetera. But since I've been a mother, I actually did not go away from my son for the first 5 years of his life. He'll be 6 next month. So the first 5 years of his life, we were together every day, except for if I went on a vacation or something. But it was just this year that he's told me about 5 different times that he wants me to get out of the Navy. And that's because I have had to leave him. I missed his first day of kindergarten. I didn't get to see my daughter like really run or walk, uh, you know. But thankfully, and I think it has a lot to do with the type of mother I am, when they haven't missed a beat. Like they don't gravitate to anyone more than me when it comes. So that like I was worried about that. I was worried because I was a type of mom. If daycare was open from 6 to 6, if I'm only at work from 8 to 3, I'm picking my kids up as soon as I get off of work. I didn't leave them there just because it was still open. So that's what I meant, like when I'm so hands on. But it there's so many women in the military who deal with this daily and have it far worse than I am. So I have nothing to complain about. There are women who go a year without seeing their children. So as much as I am saddened from every moment I'm away from them, I can FaceTime them, I can call them, they can drive down here on the weekends. Um, but we're about to get stationed we're going to Hawaii next in 2 months. And so I grew up as a Navy brat as well. My dad would be gone all the time, but whenever he was home, we had dinner together every night as a family. When we went to movies, we went on vacation. So like my dad knew when he was gone, he was gone. He was on duty. But when he was at home, he was very involved, and that's how I'm taking that blueprint that he gave to me, and I'm making sure that I do that for my kids, that we still have that close relationship. Because like as Sakara was saying, sometimes women do have to choose between career and family, and it's really true in the military. We only make up about 30% of the military, and I'm an officer, and which is even a smaller percentage, which is only probably like 13%, if that. Um, and most female officers a lot of them do not have children, or they're either married or have children. Like or end up it's like it's rare to see it all in one. But I'm praying every day that I have such a strong supportive husband that I'm able to balance it all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Carmisha. Before we close, I want to for you all to provide our viewers some advice on how to balance being a mother, a busy mother, a military mom, auntie mom, a grandmom. Like, how do you all balance being a mother and having me time for yourself? What are some things that you can offer new mothers or moms in general to balance out life and being a mother?
I would say you have older kids, if they want to help, I wouldn't say put your younger kids on them, but even with Sanaya, she's 8. She will take her baby sister into her room, into the baby's room, and will sit on the floor and play with her for about 10-15 minutes. Sometimes that's all I need is that 10-15 minutes to just use the bathroom, take a shower, just have whatever quick break. And then of course, like I said, I had a huge support system with their grandparents and my husband. So we can have as much family time as possible, but we both can have the opportunity to kind of sneak away and get some me time if possible too, if necessary, shall I say.
Would anybody else like to offer any?
I am still learning. I don't have me time. I took with the 7 years of raising the little ones, there was no me time because they were always scared to be abandoned. So when I took them to relatives for a couple of hours, they were calling, TT, we want to come home. Couldn't drop them off at school. So the separation anxiety was still high. And now that they're gone, it's still the same. So they still, I don't know. I haven't figured it out.
I would say balance is key. When they were younger, I didn't have a lot of support with them. So whatever time I could do, like if it was they were asleep, that would be my me time. When, they were preoccupied doing something, that would be my me time. I would say even right now, me being in school, like I have to balance it around, the time that I need to do things for them. So I would just say balance is key. And even like a small moment, me time is good and very healthy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
was.
would.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
So I was kind of blessed with Alyssa when growing up. Like her grandparents was and her dad was like super awesome. Like I had pretty much every weekend to myself. Like they would like I would have her Monday through Friday, and on the weekends they was like, hey, just take the time to relax, take a shower, do all this stuff for me. And then like and then as she got older, I used to use that time to do like weekend travel with my friends, which I know like everybody can't do, but like even just trips and girlfriends are like always a good way to balance out motherhood.
Thank you so much. Dee, would you like to say anything before we go?
I sure do. I might as well let y'all go with a laugh.
Okay.
I'm sitting here laughing because I was thinking about responding to that question. And my question was, due to some of my unfortunate poor choices, I had a lot of me time when I was in prison away from my kids. But the funny thing about it is because I'm here, and because of that me time, it made me the me that I am today, to be a better mother and a great grandma. They call me the best grandma ever. So,
I don't know. And you starting stuff, Dee.
Yeah, do your next show on reform prison mothers. Do your next show on prison mothers.
Prison mothers? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm taking ideas. Don't worry.
I
Hey,
think
it's
that
a variety of people, right? We all got stories. So I enjoyed. Thank you for having me, Chris.
You're welcome. Carmisha, would you like to leave us with any lasting thoughts?
I was just gonna say it's okay to ask for help, but be aware that with help, sometimes you have to. The same thing when you borrow money, is some interest in it. My parents have been. Let me get explained. My parents are very. My dad is very strict. He's always been strict, but he's always been loving. I might have to hear his mouth a little bit, but he's gonna watch my kids so my husband and I can go see a movie together. You know what I mean? Like he might say, well, me and your mom gotta work in the mornings, or we gotta do this tomorrow, so make sure you're here by such and such time. Even though I was already gonna do it, I just had to hear that little bit of his mouth so that we can go to the movie. So don't be afraid to ask for help.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. but it's okay to ask for help because you do deserve. Sometimes you just need that moment. So just be hesitant to ask for help.
Thank you so much, Carmisha. And I want to say thank you to you all, Sakara D, Maisha, Carmisha D, Mama D, Melinda, Deb, for all coming on to the Marnese live talk show. I want to thank you so much for the pointers. I have a 7-year-old and an 11-year-old, and thank you so much because I will take a lot of your advice. So before I go, I want to definitely lift up some work that people are doing in our community and businesses. So first and foremost, the Healing Collective is it's not a therapist only group on Facebook. It is a weekly community gathering led by therapists to discuss mental health and wellness at the intersection of the ongoing change we're experiencing. So it's led by Mr. Boswell and Miss is Pleasant, and you can go to their sessions on Facebook. So follow them. And then I wanted to lift up Sugary Sweets, which is she provides yummy desserts for gifting your next event and just because you want something sweet. So contact Miss Rhiannon at Sugary Sweets, and she's on Facebook. Or you can email her at sugarysweets@gmail.com. And so for the next Marnese Live Talk Show, we will revisit our conversation on COVID-19. We will have a dialogue about mental health, physical, and economic strain that COVID has had on our communities. And so next week, please tune into the Marnese Live Talk Show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will talk to frontline nurse Teresa Johnson, an expert in covering the COVID pandemic, Mr. Michael Imhotep. And then we'll talk to a recovered victim from the COVID virus, Miss Andrea. She's from California. And then Mr. Caleb, he will come and talk to us about the health and mental health impacts it has had on different communities. So tune into the Marnese Live Talk Show on next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so I wanted to say thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Please don't forget to follow the Marnese Live Talk Show on Facebook and Instagram. You can also subscribe to the Marnese Live Talk Show on YouTube. Thanks so much for tuning in and have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey.